Hi all! In this third video from my series on the Tarot Tableau method, we'll cover step 2 of the method, using a reading that I recently did for a querent who agreed to help me with this series. Step 2 is about understanding the heart of the tableau, the emotional or deep-seated core of the journey that helps put the overarching lesson into a more intimate perspective. In the last video, we looked at the first step of the Tarot Tableau as seen through a querent with a specific situation. Now we'll look at the second step, the heart of the tableau, with a new querent looking for a more general reading. I'll call this querent Q as well. Q is experiencing a lot of stress as they try to make sense of all the changes and opportunities ahead of them. So Q is looking for general guidance and insight. Because you can't get into step 2 without first laying out the cards or conducting step 1, we'll breeze through those first. As a reminder, we lay out the 22 major arcana into 22 positions that I call major houses. The first is the house of the Fool, the next is the house of the Magician, and so on all the way to the house of the World. In the case of our new Q, we have Temperance in the house of the Fool, the Hanged Man in the house of the Magician, and so on as you see on screen until we get to the Wheel of Fortune in the house of Judgment, and the Emperor in the house of the World. The first step of the Tarot Tableau will give us the arc of Q's journey. Since Q is looking for a general reading, this helps us focus in and get a good sense of what's most important for us to understand about the overwhelming changes Q is facing and how to make sense of all of the possibilities flying in. To start, we have Temperance in the house of the Fool and the Emperor in the house of the World. Focusing on keywords, we can read that all of these opportunities and changes are helping Q shift from a go-with-the-flow attitude to purposeful planning and decision-making. We then look to the Fool, which is in the house of the Tower. This shows Q's focus on the crisis of all of these changes and this upheaval. No doubt it's uncomfortable, but rather than focusing on the crisis, which can be paralyzing, Q is encouraged to consider how the Tower's tearing down can become an opportunity to rebuild and reshape their life. The last part of step 1 is to look for the World, which is in the house of the Wheel of Fortune. This shows that all of these changes are part of a developmental process. With the Emperor's structuring energy used to rebuild the Tower, the World in the house of the Wheel of Fortune suggests that Q has the chance to develop their ability to control their own fate, to make the most of what the Wheel of Fortune has to offer, and to minimize the harm of its low points. With that first step, we get the brief overview of Q's current situation. Now we move to the second step. The heart of the tableau, step 2 of the Tarot Tableau reading method, shows the emotional core of the journey. Right, so what does that even mean? It depends on the cards and the situation, but the heart generally provides a way to connect to your journey. Sometimes it helps you understand why you should care about the experience or the broader arc, especially if the arc wasn't what you were expecting to learn about. When using the weight-based house positions, the heart can help you find a new passion in the journey and sustain your energy, or make the most of its transformative potential. That's because the heart of the tableau revolves around the central card. And when using the standard layout and a weight deck, that central card is either in the house of Strength, position 8, or in the house of Death, position 13. Note that with other deck families or with non-standard layouts, the heart can sometimes work a little differently. In this spread, the Star is in the house of Strength, and the Chariot is in the house of Death. You may wonder why there are 2 potential central cards. That's because we have 4 rows in the standard layout, so there isn't a naturally central row, but there's a solution to that. We look to the position of the Fool to figure out which of the 2 possible central cards is more central. In Q's spread, the Fool is in the bottom row, so the House of Death, position 13, is the central card position. That means that we have the Chariot in the House of Death as the central card. With the Chariot in the House of Death as the central card, we can see that the way for Q to connect to this journey is to understand that it's all about transformation in the realm of dealing with control. A transformation is needed, so it may feel bumpy and unsettling, or even overwhelming. As we saw in the arc of Q's journey, it might even seem like Q's natural choice would be to just succumb to that feeling and ride it out. But here, the emphasis on control returns. We saw this idea of control in the first step, with the Emperor and the Wheel of Fortune, and we can see now that it's quite literally central to this reading. Before we continue, I want to highlight 2 things. One is a reminder. These cards all interact, so even though I'm covering these steps as separate segments, they overlap and fold back on each other. Let your insights blend across steps when there are overlaps, as we've just seen. The second thing is a point of clarification regarding how the major houses work for the central card. The central card of the heart of the tableau is in either the House of Strength or the House of Death, at least when using the weight version. This often puts a positive and proactive spin on the energy represented by the central card when it's in the House of Strength or the House of Death. That's because the central card helps us connect and move forward on the journey. It's the heart after all. But that's only true of the cards in those houses when they're the central card. So if your central card is in the House of Strength, the card in the House of Death isn't necessarily transformative and reinvigorating. Similarly, the card in the House of Strength may not be about passions driving you forward when your central card is in the House of Death. My book provides a little more guidance into what these two major houses can mean when they're not the central card, and practice will provide even more insight. Now back to the reading. Putting it together, we see that this period of overwhelming stressors and increased opportunities coming in forces Q to address the need to change how they chart their future. Instead of going with the flow, Q can establish control over their life by appreciating this moment as one of powerful personal transformation. This can help drive Q forward. It's time to grab the wheel. Such changes can cause discomfort, and it may seem hard compared to the ease of going with the flow, but it has the potential to help Q overhaul their future. That's powerful stuff. But there's more to the heart of the tableau than just the central card. We also look to the cards above and below the central card, as well as the cards to the left and right. This gives us insight into how to tap into the full power of that central drive or that emotional core. Below the Chariot, we have Justice, and above we have the Star. To the left, we have the High Priestess, and to the right is Strength. The cards above and below suggest a trajectory for internal development. This is often advice about how the querent can shift their mindset or change their perspective. But it can also indicate facets of themselves that need some other kind of internal work, whether that's emotional or spiritual or something else. We can read the shift from Justice to the Star as advice that Q needs to stop trying to balance competing interests and instead narrow their focus on a few big goals that align with Q's desires and purpose. There are a lot of ways to read this combination, but we aren't working in a vacuum. As with the central card, these cards develop from what we've already seen. The pull of the Chariot's two opposing sphinxes is useless without the charioteer's direction. And to complement the Chariot's forward momentum, the Star here signals focused navigation. The cards to either side suggest external developments. These might be things that can be brought out from within the querent, things that need to be done, or even things that might be happening to the querent, whether they want them or not. But generally, they should be embraced. This is advice on how to connect to the heart after all, so a proactive approach is expected. We can read the move from the High Priestess to Strength as advice that Q should take what's been brewing secretly inside and allow it to become full-on, outright passions. These passions will help sustain the driving potential to transform that this overwhelming situation encourages. The last part of the heart of the tableau is to consider where the Fool is in relation to the heart. Is it to the left or right, above or below? This will help you understand the querent's current relationship to that emotional center. Q's Fool is in a row below the central card and in a column left of the central card, so there's likely going to be an opportunity coming in the next few weeks or month that will help Q tap into this transformative potential. But there's work required to externalize it. Just letting it happen won't help Q. In fact, going with the flow would reinforce the natural tendency toward passive acceptance that Q is being told is in need of a change. To teach these steps, I've taken much longer than is necessary and explained more to you than you would need for a querence reading. These first two steps can be done simply once you get the hang of it, and the messages can be short if you need them to be. In the case of Q's reading, the main ideas of these first two steps boil down to these ideas. This period of overwhelming stressors and increased opportunities coming in forces a necessary change in the way that Q looks to chart their own future. Instead of going with the flow, there's a needed transformation in the way Q establishes control over their life. It's time to grab the wheel. That causes discomfort, but it is game-changing. Q needs to stop trying to balance competing interests and instead narrow their focus on a few big goals that align with Q's desires and purpose. Q should take what has been brewing secretly inside and allow it to become full-on, outright passions that sustain this drive. It will require concerted effort to externalize the energy and activate this transformation, but soon there will be an opportunity to do so. And with the first 2 steps mastered, it's time to dig into the rest of the cards in the tableau with step 3, your focal points.